Now, if this was all for stress relief, what's this year?
Natasha.
Is so in love with the culture? Is that what that is? Eat the panties on the head and everything like that? Is that what that is? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the rest of y'all could be like him too. All y'all need is the right filter.
我是 Natasha， 我也是 Natasha。
No, we got all the evidence. We got all the evidence, China. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters, and this is Racist of the Week, where we explore the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, you have any nominees, you can drop them in the comments. You can email me at admin@ReeseWaters.com. And shout out to so many of you who recommended today's nominee. I heard you loud and clear, because y'all remember when they used to say, anti-blackness is just an American thing. We don't do that over here. There's a popular toy in China right now of a black baby because people find it funny to abuse it.
Videos featuring a stress relief toy nicknamed Natasha are going viral online and sparking major controversy. The doll resembles a small black baby, and in many clips, users squeeze it, stomp on it, throw it, and even run it over for content. The videos are usually framed as jokes or stress relief, and the trend has spread quickly across social media. What caught people's attention is that these toys come in multiple colors, yet the trend seems heavily focused on this specific version of the doll. That immediately made some viewers uncomfortable. As the clip spread online, reactions became divided. Some people dismissed it as harmless internet humor involving a squishy toy. Others argued the videos felt disturbing, especially because the doll appears to represent a black child while being used in violent or humiliating ways. The debate quickly moved beyond the toy itself and turned into a larger conversation about race, online behavior, and how far people push trends for views and engagement. And now the internet is split. Some people say critics are overreacting to a toy, while others believe there's a reason this specific doll became the center of the trend in the first place.
You had me messed up when the black version of the doll is the one that it became popular to abuse. Huh? That's where you had me messed up. When is the black version of the thing the one that's upheld? Right? When is that the one that's valued? Just so happens to be the one that it's popular to abuse. Yeah. That is quite the smoking gun right there. And no, I'm not giving y'all no ideas.
No. Hell no.
And how is it that they all look like minstrels? Now, they all look like they came right off the set of Amos and Andy. Even the ones that's different colors. They all look the exact same. Like they look like the racist literature from the 1940s South. That's exactly what they all look like. Huh? With the bright red mouth? Really?
Man, this some old bullshit.
They're called Natasha dolls. An alarming new trend is happening behind China's Great Firewall, with critics accusing Natasha doll owners of turning humiliation into content. The company markets the Natasha doll, designed to look like a black baby, as a stress toy in China and encourages people to stretch, squeeze, and abuse it. Videos show Chinese social media users brutalizing the dolls for entertainment. Users slam them against walls, stomp on them, and inject them with liquids. Inject them with liquids? That's what y'all do for stress relief, is inject other things with liquids? Really?
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
One Chinese news outlet reported on videos of Natasha giving birth. In these clips, users cut open the doll's stomach and pull out a smaller doll.
Hey, yo, what the?
Okayafrica, a digital media outlet covering African culture and politics, dug deeper into the trend. Content creator ZB recently reported that one social media user defended the color of the doll by saying a white baby, quote, doesn't have the same ugly vibe. The person added, the white one looks more human-like and it feels more depressing, so it won't sell as well. Good luck beating the racism allegations like that. More human-like? I mean, that's right there, right? You know what I mean? That's more human-like. That's what you decided to go with? Sir, why did you steal the TV? Because stealing the radio would have felt inhumane. You know what I mean? It's stealing a radio or a pager, that's old technology. So that would be wrong. Anybody looking for one of those probably should have one. So that's why I stole the TV. That's my defense.
I said what I said.
Now, this seems pretty cut and dry to me, but for the sake of conversation, why don't we consult somebody with knowledge of the culture and see if it gets worse? It will get worse.
I received a few requests to talk about these black Natasha dolls that are trending in China. I don't know if they're still trending, but they were trending at some point. And if you don't know, it's these dolls that look like this. And there's been a viral trend to like throw them on the floor and smash their heads, run them over with cars, fill them up with water and like slice them open. It's awful. Like it's clearly very awful. I do want to clarify though, I don't live in China. I've never lived in China. I'm not on the Chinese side of the internet. So I only found out about these dolls at the same time as the rest of you. So you're asking me what's happening. I don't know. I need to take some time to figure out for myself too. It's situations like this that come out of China that I think make a lot of us in the Chinese diaspora realize how different we are from Chinese people in China. Because for us, like, this is obviously racist. This is clearly racist towards black people, but Chinese people in China just don't see it that way because they don't experience racism.
I'm sorry, did you say have no experience with racism? I mean, I could pull some out of my back pocket right now. Just, are you sure you want to go with that?
On April 8th, a large number of African people in the southern Chinese city Guangzhou were driven out by their landlords and had to stay on the streets. Another video shows many Africans dragging their luggage aimlessly through the streets of Guangzhou. One of them says, "We are just walking on the road. They can't give us a house, they can't give us a hotel, and they cannot provide a place we can stay." It comes after all of the cases reported by Guangzhou authorities in April were reportedly related to African people. Chinese media have only reported about testing people from abroad. They haven't talked about testing locals, so we can't rule out the possibility that many of the locals are also infected, but it's not being reported. It's led to discrimination against Africans among local Chinese.
Chinese people in China hold power, so they have no lived experience to draw any kind of parallels to, whereas for us, it's like, are you blind? I'm not on Red Note, and I'm kind of terrified of Chinese netizens, but I did go through several videos and read through the comment section, but I can't read Chinese, so I had to rely on their translator. So there may be some things that are lost in translation, but I think I got the gist of what's happening. These Natasha dolls were actually released a few years ago, and they weren't initially called Natasha dolls. They were called something else. I'm not sure what that was, but they were released in multiple colors, and kids were buying them at first to dress them up and put them on display and take care of them. The black dolls became somewhat popular because there aren't a lot of black dolls in China. And so ironically, initially, it was the racist Chinese people who wanted these dolls to be banned because they were worried that these dolls were going to make Chinese people more comfortable around black people.
I'm gonna have to stop you right there, player. Did you just go from these people have no experience with racism to the racists wanted to ban the black dolls? The racists wanted to ban the black dolls, but they have no experience with racism? Come on, man. What we doing here?
Come on now, dawg.
Come on, man. That'd be like me saying I got no experience with failure or rejection. My high school years would be outraged.
And a content creator decides to put out a skit of how his mom constantly pushes him to have children, which is a very common situation in China, and to push back against the wishes of his mom, he hid one of these black Natasha dolls on a car seat, and then his mom saw it and got mad, probably especially because the baby is black, and then threw the doll, and then that video became viral.
See, there you go again. There you go again. You said this all started with a mother who was racist and specifically was triggered by the black doll. How y'all gonna beat the racism allegations like this? The black dolls that y'all wanted to ban just because they was black. Now, I know the dolls didn't do nothing. They just came right out the package. But y'all still wanted to push them out the country, didn't you?
Videos became more and more absurd of the mom getting so mad that she started boiling them or running over them with a car or throwing them in a garbage can, which I think is how the doll got its name, Natasha. But I can't confirm here because in Chinese, I say 垃圾桶 for garbage can. So I'm not sure how that turns into Natasha. Because these videos were so popular, it started a viral trend of all these copycats trying to do the most horrific things that they can to these Natasha dolls to get their own viral moment, and that's how we ended up to today. If you look at the most viewed videos on RedNote, it's about calling out this behavior as being quite problematic, but it's kind of strange because I think a lot of people still don't really see the racial element to it. They see it as being problematic because it encourages violence in young children, but they don't see how it also encourages racism against black people. There are Chinese people who are calling it out as racism because, like, why are you only doing it to the black dolls when there are all these other colors? And people are like, well, it's because the black dolls don't look like us.
They don't look like us, huh? They don't look like us. That's pretty much the definition of racism right there. That's literally, I can't define it any better than that. That's it.
So we don't feel as bad doing it to them. And it's like that's racism. There was even a post on RedNote by a Chinese person who was talking to her black friend who was expressing her discomfort in these Natasha dolls because they kind of reminded her of her when she was a baby. And the Chinese person was like, oh, I never thought about it this way. And I'm like, why wouldn't you think about it this way? Isn't this the first thing you should think of? Now, the government has intervened to clamp down on this behavior, which I guess is one of the advantages of China. They are now banned in schools. These videos are getting taken down, and they've released a number of articles and videos about why this behavior is problematic. But once again, they are not approaching it from the racial angle. They are approaching it from the angle of promoting violence.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Did you say the government wanted to ban it because it was violent? With no mention of the black dolls being targeted? Yeah, that'll come back.
Problem with government intervention is that a lot of people don't like being told what to do.
Hey, tell me about it. It was called COVID. It was called COVID. Don't tell me what to do. And then those same people, yes, Orange Jesus. Yes, Orange Jesus. Who do I hate now? What values do I know. You ain't got to tell me.
Especially young people by authority figures. And so there's been backlash to this as well. People are like, well, why are you all concerned about the abuse of dolls but not abuse of animals?
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So people are pushing back because of the attention that's giving to the abuse of dolls versus, say, the abuse of animals. How about the abuse of people? How about the abuse of people? Huh? Because we've seen that too. How about that? Or is animals up at the top? Huh? Well, y'all will share that in common with Americans. Because I'm going to tell you, they treat their dogs better than the unhoused. I can tell you that right now. China, they're just like us.
Hey, look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought?
Not me.
And so there's been quite a bit of pushback as well. But there is one strategy that seems to be working. Chinese people in China seem fairly sensitive about how their country is being perceived from the outside. But they don't really have a good pulse on that because their internet is blocked off from the rest of the world. A lot of these upvoted comments are warning Chinese people that this kind of behavior is not going to be received well from the outside. That black people in other countries are really not going to like this. So even if you don't understand why it's wrong, you should stop. So I wouldn't automatically assume that Chinese people are not going to listen to you simply because you're a foreigner. If you go on Red Note right now, there are a lot of recent videos from Americans who's posting all these warnings about why this behavior is problematic. And if you look through the comment section, it seems like it's being received well. I feel like they are listening to you.
Now that is interesting. So they don't see the issue with the abuse of specifically the brown dolls, but they do have an issue with being shamed. So being called racist ranks higher than, being racist. That's like as crazy as, abuse of animals above abuse of people. That's kind of, I don't know. China, that's a little bit crazy. But no, I've seen the litany of ways that you guys have decided to make sense of this. I mean, y'all was even out here eating gummies. And they didn't even look good. Was they chocolate? No, they wasn't even chocolate. That don't even look good. Now, if this was all for stress relief, what's this here? What's this here? If it got nothing to do with the doll's appearance, what's this right here? Was that an homage? Is that what that is? That's an homage. Is so in love with the culture. Is that what that is? Eat the panties on the head and everything like that? Is that what that is? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the rest of y'all could be like him too. All y'all need is the right filter.
我是 Natasha， 我也是 Natasha。
No, we got all the evidence. We got all the evidence, China. We got all the evidence. So, and matter of fact, y'all don't even got to listen to me. Listen to your own people.
Actually, ever had a black friend? Probably not. But today I wanted to talk about where a lot of the anti-blackness in Chinese culture comes from, specifically Chinese. First, there's our language. The way we talk about the sun and going out in the sun. 你不要晒黑 is something that every Chinese kid has heard from their parents. It literally means do not turn black. Colloquially, it means do not get tan, but verbatim, word for word, it means do not turn black. Oh yeah, and if you get too tan, your parents will say that you look like a black person as an insult. I don't want to hear any of you saying this to your kids. If you hear any of your friends saying it to their kids, say something about it. If your parents say it to you, say something about it. We can talk about protecting our skin from harmful UVA and UVB rays without resorting to racism. Not wanting to get skin cancer is race neutral, is not colorist, but saying you got so dark you look like a black person, that's really weird. And every Chinese person has heard it at least once. Chinese people as a collective have also learned anti-blackness from their colonizers, from our mutual hater. They think that on black people will somehow make them whiter. I hear Chinese people in China and in the US just parroting the most harmful stereotypes that white people had just made up about black people. When white people aren't even saying those things anymore, they have learned neoliberalism. They have learned to say, I don't see color. They've learned to hide their racism at least a little better. And then Chinese people are out here doing the work for white people. Thought we were done with the century of humiliation. What are you guys doing? And this is hurting actual Chinese and black people inside our community. There are black and Chinese mixed people who y'all don't even consider Chinese because they have African ancestry. So it's causing us to cannibalize our own. I know I spend a lot of my time on this app shitting on K-pop groups for being racist, but Chinese people have no excuse this time. You shaguas better get online and start apologizing, or else 我去中国找你.
And I know this might be crazy. I know this might be wild to even think about, but the experience of a black person in China. I know. Crazy, I know. But just evaluating their perception of the situation in a case like this. Those are the people really that you got to convince, and it's not looking good.
As an African that has lived in China for 7 to 8 years now, I'm here to say that the Natasha dolls is not surprising, because it is not the first, nor will it be the last instance of racism I've seen against Black people here in China. We're all familiar with the famous one where during COVID, a bunch of Black people were being evicted from their homes in Guangzhou, but I'm going to do you one better, okay? For the last 3 to 4 years, I've been observing a specific type of live that has been popping up on Chinese apps like WeChat channels, Xiaohongshu, and Douyin, where it is a bunch of Chinese men that will go to African countries and then go into the impoverished communities to take on a wife. And then they will take that wife because apparently it is cheaper because of the bride price and them having the higher currency, etc., right? They will take on that wife and then start putting her on these live streams where she's to interact with him on live. These women, these young girls also, because they are young girls in a lot of cases, do not understand Chinese. So it becomes this running joke between the husband and the viewers of those lives that the wife does not understand Chinese, and then they essentially just become racist and say weird ass crazy hatred shit with probably the softest shit on there, calling her a monkey. That's the softest shit you will see on there. And it's a joke for them because the wife does not know. These women, these girls, they do not know because they don't speak Chinese, but the husband knows, and he makes money out of it because those people essentially give those men gifts to continue to berate these women on live, and it just keeps on going, and the numbers are increasing. I've tried to report some of these accounts, but when they ask me why I'm reporting it, there is nothing there that says oh my god, this is racist and whatever. So I'm not surprised, Natasha dolls. I'm not surprised, babe.
Wow. I didn't know it was going to get that dark. I thought that there were some Americans that were dedicated to racism, but I have never seen marrying a woman and bringing her all the way to your country for racism. That's a new one. I learn something new every day. Just last month, we had the woman with the biracial son and her racism. That was my lesson for May. I guess it's my lesson for June.
For those saying the Natasha dolls aren't that deep, I want you to take a closer look at this. This is what happens when anti-blackness is normalized in our communities. When you're teaching children that it's acceptable to slap, throw around, mock, or dehumanize dolls that are meant to represent Black children, you're desensitizing them to the dehumanization, brutalization, and mistreatment of Black children and Black people as a whole.
You heard her correct. Just in case there was any question about the racist intent of abusing the brown doll, they have rage baiting videos of actual brown kids.
There are two types of content that I want to talk about here. The first type are these rage baiting videos where a Chinese person, usually a woman, has a Black child with them, like a child that is clearly Black, monoracial Black, not mixed, and they claim that this child is their own child. Now, at first glance, this type of content seems really harmless. It seems pretty innocent. Here's where it gets really interesting. When you go in the comment section of those types of videos, the only word that I can think of to describe the things that you are 100% guaranteed to see in those comments is vile.
Videos have emerged of Chinese citizens acting aggressively towards Black infants, with entire channels dedicated to this content. In a June 3rd Instagram reel, the outlet included clips showing black children crying or trying to flee Chinese adults. That's right, trying to flee Chinese adults. Imagine why.
You're reinforcing the idea that black people are objects rather than human beings deserving of dignity, humanity, and respect. Watching those babies and children cry was truly heartbreaking because we're no longer talking about dolls. We're talking about real children. Real children being humiliated, exploited, and dehumanized. And unfortunately, this isn't new. The exploitation of African children has been happening for years. In 2022, BBC Africa Eye exposed a Chinese man named Luke, who was living in Malawi and filming children for personalized videos that were later sold online. Some reportedly sold up to $70 on Chinese social media platforms. What breaks my heart even more is seeing children being used to repeat colorist and degrading messages about themselves. Whether it's reinforcing the idea that lighter skin is beautiful, undermining their intelligence, or having children call themselves monsters, these messages can have a lasting impact on how children view themselves and their worth. It's hurtful, it's concerning, it's disrespectful, and above all, it's dehumanizing.
That's right. So not only do we have the abuse of the doll, but we have rage-baiting videos of actual black children. Now let's add on top of that the history that this comes on the back of. We've been here before.
A black baby doll is going viral right now, and videos show people stomping on it, boiling it, and throwing it for entertainment. When someone asked why the black version was chosen, a user allegedly explained that a white baby would feel too human, that people would feel bad hurting it. That one sentence is the story. A squeezable stress relief toy called the Natasha doll has taken over Chinese social media. It comes in multiple colors, but the dark-skinned version is the one dominating the videos. It's the one being beaten. It's the one being run over. It's the one being subjected to extreme handling for views and engagement. I'm Dr. Michael H. Ford, and this is a story you need to hear, because this is not new. In 1895, a doll called the Gollywog appeared in British children's books. A black caricature with exaggerated features rooted in the blackface minstrel tradition. It was not just a toy. It appeared on household items, food labels, greeting cards, and even advertisements. According to historians at the Jim Crow Museum of Racist Memorabilia, toys and games have long been one of the most pernicious ways to spread racist ideas.
I'm sorry, did you say the Jim Crow Museum of Racist Memorabilia? Museum of Racist. Who owns that? Do we own that? Do we own that, or do they own that? And how did that museum survive the anti-DEI push? Huh? They trying to close down actual black history museums, but the Jim Crow Museum could stay open. Huh? That's as obvious as this right here.
Because they normalize those ideas in the minds of children before they are old enough to question them. And the Natasha doll is not the first time this has happened in the digital age. In 2022, a BBC Africa Eye investigation exposed a Chinese content creator in Malawi who paid children as young as 9 $50 each to chant phrases in Mandarin that they could not understand. Those phrases included, "I'm a black monster," and "my IQ is low." He sold those videos for up to $70 each on Chinese social media, making up to $380 a day. He was convicted.
He was convicted where? He was convicted where? Now we need to know. We need to know where. We just want to talk to him. We just want to talk to him. That's all. We just want to get his side of the story. That's what it's. We just wanted to. Well, let me know. Let me know.
But the pattern did not end with his conviction. The dehumanization of black people did not begin online, but online platforms have given it a global audience, an algorithm, and a profit margin. When an entire community can be reduced to a stress relief object, and that reduction goes viral, we have to ask who benefits from that normalization, and we have to ask who pays the price.
Ooh, thank you, doctor, for that. Who benefits from that normalization and who pays the price? Well, we know who pays the price, but as far as who benefits, well, that's going to be a little bit more complicated now, isn't it? We have to get into exactly how these feelings were allowed to grow and fester and why. Isn't that right? Chinese government.
Someone told me about this very disturbing TikTok trend in China. It feels painful to even describe it, but since I grew up there, I feel obligated to have a few words. So basically, a lot of people in China were filming themselves torturing these dolls that have dark skin. Not just any dolls, but specifically dolls with dark skin, which apparently sends a racist and sadistic message. It really pains me to talk about this. Maybe I could say something like not all Chinese, but it wouldn't mean much, because statistically, the Chinese population, including the immigrants outside China, are still, in general, pretty racist. There's no way to sugarcoat it. They just are. So I want to talk a little about why. Especially since most people in China never had a chance to see a black or brown person up close. Where does this behavior come from? First, I want to say, just as in any country, racism is always highly correlated with ignorance.
Ignorance. Yeah, we got that in common. Yeah, we see that over here. We see that over here all the time. Yeah, that's.
You need to understand, contrary to what many people may have told you, most parts of China are still highly undereducated. Pile on me if you want, but it's true. I mean, their education is okay in terms of math and science, but when it comes to humanities and social sciences, it's like non-existent. Maybe some top universities have some decent programs, but high schools and local colleges are basically in the Stone Age. There's no empirical political science at all. No sociology, no human geography, maybe some geography, but not human geo. There's history, but the content is highly selective. Almost everything in the history textbooks has something to do with glorifying the Chinese Communist Party, not much else.
So everything that they study in history has to do with glorifying the state. Hey, man, I think they got y'all dead to rights. Hey, y'all wear red hats?
Basically, students are not supposed to understand people and societies. They're trained about everything else, but not human beings. Because this way, the ruling party has an easier time telling them what to do.
Oh, tell me about it. They went from don't tread on me to why don't you just comply? You know what I mean? It's nuts.
And that ignorance also infected the Chinese immigrants in other countries because they are mostly STEM majors. They not only don't know social sciences, they kind of look down on social sciences. Some of them think political science is pseudoscience because, the data are not as neat as in a chemistry experiment. Well, that'd be another topic. But basically, ignorance in how the human world works is always a big risk factor for racism. The second explanation, the cult of money in China affects the psychology toward race. I mean, of course, Americans love money too, but compared to how much Chinese love money, you guys are like amateurs. China literally has a god called Caishen, which means god of money. I don't know any such god in other cultures, but Caishen is a big deal in China. It's actually worshipped by Chinese of different beliefs, like Buddhists, Taoists, and some other local paganists, even atheists. They all sort of worship the god of money.
You know what? If you told me that they would have a populist movement funded by billionaires, I wouldn't have believed it, but you know what I mean? Hey, they had a whole golden calf for Trump at Mar-a-Lago and got religious people to show up.
Brother,
There's not a family or friend gathering in China where people don't talk about money. So of course, race is also incorporated into that monetary value system. White people have more money, so they must be a higher race. And of course, that money-based racism affects Chinese people's attitude toward black people. They use race as a proxy to decide who can be a source of revenue. A lot of Chinese disrespect black people because they don't see a swell pocket. You can see this in the United States too, right? Even the most racist motherfuckers would pretend to be polite in front of rich black people, right?
He trolling now. No, he trolling now.
I bet you'll see a lot of crazy Chinese fans too if some NBA teams visit China. So part of racism is really just classism. Okay, my third point. Some of these racist video trends may have been the Chinese government's strategy. I don't have any evidence, but I know for sure that the CCP wants Chinese immigrants to be hated in America. Why? If they're hated, they'll feel more vulnerable and be more loyal to the motherland. They'll either go back or maybe help China achieve some policy goals in the US. So there's a very real possibility that the Chinese censors intentionally let those trends slip through their fingers to sow discord between Chinese immigrants and African Americans.
Oh, now that is interesting. That is not unlike what we heard from that RT report, where the Russian government was looking to sow beef between white and black Americans. It always come back around. If anything is all reliable, it's anti-blackness. Am I right? Am I right? Like mother's milk.
He's right, you know.
You know, the censorship in China is highly effective. With both AI and a massive team of online police, I just can't imagine anything the government doesn't like can become a trend. So on one hand, it's a reflection of organic racism, but on the other hand, it could also be assisted by a centralized algorithm. And of course, making Chinese Americans and African Americans hostile to each other will also help Trump. And China definitely wants Trump in power because China's foreign trade literally exploded under Trump's trade policy, as America is dumping its traditional partners.
Now, MAGA, help me with something. Because y'all told me that this was your strong man and we needed a businessman in power. Do you mean the kind of man that China would take specific action to try and keep in power? You mean like that kind of effective? That's what you mean? The kind of leader that our competitors globally would love to stay in power forever. You mean like that kind of, that's what y'all? And as far as the Chinese government is concerned, you know what I mean? Y'all have total control, you know, and it just malfunctions, you know, the censors just malfunction, you know, kind of like they did with all them Lego videos where y'all was dragging the Trump tariffs, kind of like that, huh?
Okay, the last point. Contrary to what you may have seen on Xiaohongshu, the Chinese population is deeply, deeply unhappy. And unhappy people tend to be racist.
Tell me about it. I mean, really, you should hear Megyn Kelly and them. You know what I mean? Foaming at the mouth. I think it's TDS. I think they got TDS now.
Unhappy people are desperate to vent on someone. Chinese people can't vent on the government because they don't want to go to jail. And they can't vent on white people either because it may cause diplomatic incidents and their accounts may get banned. So what do? They look for a target that will not get them in trouble.
Well, isn't that just comforting? To know that we are the convenient target for Chinese stress and frustration that we did not cause or exacerbate? If that ain't on the, you know what I mean? If he just put it out there, He just put it out there right now, right? A target that will not get them into trouble. You know, a target that the eye of the world wouldn't object to. And, you know, isn't that just uniting of cultures everywhere? Huh?
You might ask, why are Chinese people unhappy with all this booming economy? Well, I talked about it many times before, so I just repeat it very briefly. So one thing is the fierce competition. Most Chinese high schools don't release the kids until 10 p.m. How can you develop a happy personality with an adolescence like that? And competitiveness is partly a result of inequality. The pay gap between good jobs and bad jobs is just too crazy. Why do you think food delivery is so cheap in China? They pay the delivery man like nothing. I saw an American TikToker saying that her delivery man started crying just because she accidentally reported a late meal. Life is hard there, guys. I talk about the hukou system, Google it. How 50 million children have to live away from their parents due to the public school enrollment policy against migrant workers. Look it up. And of course, the censorship. The absolute scarcity of good movies and good pop music due to censorship. I know you guys probably have a lot of complaint about America's streaming services. I do too. But imagine if they remove all the shows and movies that reflect societal ills and government corruption, and then remove all the LGBT content, all the childhood rebellions, all the shows about protests, labor disputes, women's rights, just all gone. How would you feel? That's the state of entertainment Chinese people are living in, regardless of the GDP growth. So there's a shortage of stimulations, and those psychopathic black doll torturing videos are part of their desperate attempt at finding stimulations, the only type of stimulations that are still allowed. It's not an excuse, of course, but it's a psychological reality in a suffocating environment, just like some Deep South American communities that are still dominated by religious doctrines. Of course, they're gonna have issues. It's not economic anxiety. It's just regular anxiety. Anyway, that was my 2 cents. America has been driving me crazy every day in the past 10 years, but I'm still glad I got out of China. I wouldn't have survived in that place.
Man, that sound bad. That sound like life out of the 40s or the 50s. That's probably what Trump was talking about when he said "Make America Great Again." That's what he wanted to go back to. You see them trying to censor everything, take control of all the media and censor. You see what's happening. You see exactly what's happening. Now you know what "Make America Great Again." Well, yeah. Now he's spitting. He's spitting right there. MAGA, he had y'all dead to rights, but he sure enough pegged this whole Natasha doll situation and the blatant racism therein. I mean, we got so much evidence. This would have to be a 2-part Law and Order. You know what I mean? This would have to be one of those crossover episodes where they do Criminal Intent, SVU, and the regular version. They would have to start a new series with all the evidence we got. Racism. Guilty. Apparently the world. Apparently the world now.